Johanna Brandt, a woman of faith, a witness to what many believed was just fantasy. But Johanna's visions weren't based on imagination. They were divine warnings, prophecies of judgment. Her warnings of the future, how South Africa would be shaken to its core, and how global powers would conspire against the truth, are now coming true. But unlike others who dreamed of peace, Johanna's eyes were drawn to the great storms ahead. The winds of change would blow hard, and they would not be gentle. Before we continue, if you're loving the content and want to take things to the next level, why not consider joining the channel? As a member, you'll unlock some seriously awesome perks. We're talking exclusive badges, emojis to flex in the comments, sneak peeks of upcoming videos, and even special shoutouts during the show. Plus, you'll be directly supporting the channel so I can keep bringing you the best content possible. Just hit that join button below and take your seat among the legends. And hey, if you're not ready to join, no worries. Your likes, comments, and shares still mean the world to me. Thanks for being here, and know that you are appreciated. Now let's continue with the video. Johanna Brandt saw the future rise of socialism and communism. She witnessed a time when the people would willingly choose to be enslaved by the very promises of freedom. She prophesied the day when the ANC would rise to power, but their rhetoric of liberation would be nothing more than a mask for tyranny. A tyranny that would strip away property, strip away rights, and enslave the very people they claimed to liberate. Expropriation without compensation. Johanna saw it before it was ever even whispered. A nation turned against its own, its leaders drunk with power, replacing the values of freedom, hard work, and justice with the promises of equality and security, but ultimately leading to nothing but poverty and destruction. Johanna foresaw bloodshed over land. She saw the battle for ownership, not just between people, but between nations, as the spirit of greed began to flood the hearts of South Africa's leaders. She saw how the world would interfere with the land of South Africa, demanding that the land be stripped away, handed to others who had no connection to the soil, only a thirst for power. She even prophesied international pressure to strip the Boers and the Afrikaners of their heritage. The land would not be theirs for long, but Johanna saw something greater. God's plan would ultimately supersede the will of men. Johanna's visions extended beyond South Africa. She saw a global collapse, a world filled with economic chaos where nations would be on the brink of collapse and people would turn on each other in desperation. She saw worldwide famine, not just hunger, but a spiritual famine, a global loss of truth. She predicted the rise of an antichrist figure, someone who would promise peace, but lead the world into destruction. One of her most chilling prophecies was about the fall of the church. Johanna saw that many in the church would turn their backs on the truth. Preachers would become false prophets, leading people into a new doctrine, one that would not be the gospel of Christ, but a doctrine of comfort, compromise, and lies. Her warning was clear. The true believers must remain faithful, for a time would come when many would forsake the truth for the sake of convenience, prosperity, and popularity. But Johanna, like Siener, saw the remnant, a small, faithful group who would stand firm in the face of overwhelming odds. They would be persecuted, attacked, and even betrayed by their own, but they would survive, not by their strength, but by the grace of God. This remnant would be the last hope, the torchbearers of truth, through a time of testing and judgment. And then Johanna saw it, a great victory. A victory not won by man, but won by the Lamb. She saw how God would deliver South Africa, not through politics, not through military power, but by the supernatural intervention of the Almighty. The remnant would stand firm, the earth would be shaken, and then the Lord would return. The land would be healed, and the covenant between God and his people would be restored. Johanna Brandt's prophecies weren't just about the doom of South Africa. They were about the deliverance of a people who would turn back to God. The judgment was coming, but so was the redemption. Today, we stand at the crossroads. We can either ignore these warnings or prepare. The choice is ours. But what we must ask ourselves is, will we heed the call of the prophets? Thanks for watching. See you next week when we will look at the current state of the nation.